Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I got quite a crazy adventure that I had last month that I want to share with you in this video. And my contact is bothering me. So I need to put my glasses on and then I'll be back. This contacts was giving me problems today. I kind of knew there was going to be a problem. I should have just put my glasses on from the beginning. I want to start off by saying I didn't hit my goal in February for eBay, and that's, partly because of what happened. Something unexpected came my way, and that kind of shifted everything in my world. So it started when I got a message through Instagram from a loyal customer, and she's like, "Hey, we're emptying out my grandfather's home. He's got some really nice stuff. I think you would be interested in it. The only thing is, you're going to actually have to come get it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's not a problem." And she says, "Well, it's in Minnesota." So I'm like, "Okay, well, that could potentially be a problem just based on the timing." It wasn't that I didn't think I can go get it. It was just based on the timing of when this message came to me, basically. The reason I say that is it takes a whole lot to put on our monthly events at our store BC Modern. It takes, we call it 30 days of curation for 2 days of selling. So literally it's a lot of time and effort, and we're laser sharp focused on making sure that we can get these events put together every month on time, on schedule, so that we have the amount of time that's needed to market them, also to get people there to buy the stuff that we find, the stuff that we curate for these events. So the thought of having to leave to go to Minnesota to pick up an estate sounds absolutely amazing if it wasn't already 2.5, almost 3 weeks in the month. It presented some timing issues, to say the least. Getting, a U-Haul truckload of stuff from one state to another in a timely fashion, and getting back to put my event on. Despite all the challenges that were pretty much ahead of me to make this actually happen. She sent over some pictures. The stuff looked absolutely amazing. It was stuff that I don't get to see here in Wisconsin. So it made sense. Literally, our mission statement is we find the vintage that makes your house a home. That's what we do at BC Modern, is we find a vintage that makes your house a home. So I have to go get this stuff. Part of my mission to go rescue this stuff and get it to the people who are going to appreciate it, so it doesn't end up in the dump somewhere, because that is the reality of what can happen to a lot of things that have value. Is people just throw them away, and a lot of times they're just looking at the value of the home. They're not looking at the contents of what's inside the home. And somebody like myself, I'm going to come in and I'm going to look for the things that not only have value, but they can potentially be nostalgic for somebody. Things that need to live on. That's the kind of stuff that I'm going to look for in the homes. And it just so happens that that's the kind of stuff that, I try to sell in my store. Despite all the challenges ahead, me and my wife, we were like, you know what, let's do it. Let's go. So we hopped in the car, and we drove. I put blankets, I put shrink wrap, I put those kind of things in the car. The reason I didn't take my van or take one of the trucks or something like that, because what I did is I did a one-way rental U-Haul. That's where you get the U-Haul wherever you're going. So I rented a U-Haul in Minnesota, 5 minutes away from where the estate was, and I drove to the estate, loaded everything up, and then I drove the U-Haul back to Wisconsin. So if you're ever thinking about doing estate pickup for a large amount of stuff, look into U-Haul one-way rental. Also, Penske does it. I'm sure Ryder Truck does it too. So they all have some form of one-way rental that you can do for a truck, and then you just pick it up where you're going, drive it back. So we hopped in a car, blankets, shrink wrap, things that we know we're going to need to pack. one suitcase for both of us. It's just a 2 day trip. We're out. Now, what I love to do when I go to different states, and this is something I did before I even opened BC Modern, is I like to go into other stores. I like to go into other stores that sell similar items or have similar style, or I just like to go to other stores. I like to see what other areas sell. I like to see how other people stage. I like to see all of that stuff. So, um, on this stop to Minnesota, which I go to Minnesota quite often, actually, on this stop to Minnesota, there was one place I hadn't been to, which was Turquoise Vintage. It's a fun, unique space. It's on the corner. She's got this huge Pyrex sign in the window that I absolutely want. I mean, I want. My wife would probably go crazy if I was able to pull that one off. So, Tony, if you see this video or if you hear about this video and you thinking about getting rid of that Pyrex sign over at Turquoise Vintage, I'm your buyer. Please let me know. I can't leave Minnesota without checking out my guy Brian over at Fine Furnish. Super cool dude. Been doing business with him for years, back and forth. So, anytime I'm in town, got to stop in and see him. He just so happened to be there working behind the desk. Um, and I surprised his ass. So that was pretty cool to pop in town. And he didn't know I was coming. So now when we left Brian, there is this burger joint in Minnesota called Parlor. If you've never been to Parlor, you gotta try Parlor burgers. They make smash burgers. They don't put anything on them. There's no lettuce. There's no tomatoes. You get cheese and no condiments. Like that burger is that good. And it's a burger that I think about when I'm not in Minnesota, and I'm not ashamed to admit it because like I love cheeseburgers. I've always loved cheeseburgers as a kid. You'll hear me talk about cheeseburgers in probably a lot of these videos when we're traveling because I'm going to try cheeseburgers everywhere I go. And Parlor ranks up there with one of the best ones I've ever had. So, had to hit up Parlor. While we're in Parlor, we're checking to see if there's any like thrift stores around. And there's a Salvation Army literally 5 minutes away from Parlor. So we filled our bellies and then went thrifting. And crazy thing about this Salvation Army is this is literally the largest Salvation Army I've ever seen in my entire life. It was 2 floors. Um, the entire first floor was like almost all new stuff, like Target returns or Target leftover stock. And then the basement was the bins and furniture. So I did go through the space. I'm always looking for vintage stuff. So there wasn't a ton of that for me at that late in the day on a Saturday. I did go downstairs. I found some Russell Wright pictures, but both of them had damage. Had they not had damage, those could have been from five to, I would have paid $5 to $7, I think, for those pictures to potentially resell them for 40 or $50. So that would have been a pretty cool bolo had they not had damage. So I did go upstairs and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna look and see if there's any shoes that I can find. And so I did find a pair of Nikes and I grabbed those and they were end up being discounted too. So I ended up getting them for like $8 or $9. So that was pretty cool. And they don't even look like they were used. So uh that was my extent of picking literally right from the moment we got into town, we hit the ground running looking for stuff to resell and bring, looking for stuff from other shops that we can bring back to Milwaukee. So make sure that our trip wasn't we always want to make sure that when we go somewhere, our trip isn't just our intended goal. We're gonna wrap up a couple other little picks in there too to make sure we really come back with a bunch of unique stuff. Next morning, it was go time. I actually had my nephew. My nephew lives in Minnesota, and he's helped me multiple times with jobs when he's in Wisconsin or when he was living in Wisconsin too. He would help me out. So I hit him up, and I'm like, "Hey, you want to come help me move some stuff, make some quick cash?" And of course, he hopped on it. And next morning, we show up at this place, and the space is just amazing. The views are absolutely stunning, and the stuff is, you know, just stuff you don't see. Now, mind you, there's quite a few pieces that I have to redo. I have to have to get them reupholstered, and we have to clean some of them up and polish things. But just the quality of the pieces, it was definitely worth the drive, and definitely worth everything that I had to do to get here. And talking with the estate owner, it was so important to them that the stuff got to live on, right? Like their grandfather, he owned a bank, and he built this house, and he filled it full of things that he loved. And when the grandmother got sick, he put an elevator in the house. Like everything was so well, like loved, because we were just talking to them about, kind of our business and what we do. And the uncle just says, I'm so glad that you're gonna get these items to the people that are gonna appreciate them. And that's super fulfilling. So we're back in Milwaukee with a 17-foot U-Haul truck of amazing Danish furniture, mid-century modern lighting, some pottery, just all kinds of amazing fun stuff. And at this point, it's all hands on deck. My store is about to open in like 6 days at this point. So we got to clean, we got to price, we got to stage. Luckily, we had pretty much roughed out the entire shop before we left. So it was a matter of just plugging the pieces in that we brought in, and then just kind of reconfiguring a couple other things. But we made it work. And what happened is it turned out to be an amazing event. Like, people came because they wanted to see what it was that I brought back. So that played into the draw for the event in itself, is going to get this estate and documenting me picking up this estate on Instagram and sharing bits and pieces along the way. So this video is the one full one that shows everything. That it still don't show everything, but it shows a good chunk of it. At least the the pieces that I'm kind of willing to show. All in all, it was absolutely worth it. I'm forever grateful for anybody that gives me a chance to come into these homes and buy things. Uh, you know, uh, and although I didn't hit my eBay goal for the month, because eBay is my part-time hustle, my side hustle at this point. I'm in year 3 of me coming out of retirement from being a full-time eBay seller to adding this to my business. And, my thing is making sure that it doesn't interfere too much with what's going on in my store, because that's my main concern. So I didn't hit my eBay goal this month, and that's part of, what that's part of resale, the ups and downs. There's going to be good months, there's going to be bad months. So I didn't hit the eBay goal, but I exceeded my BC Modern goal. So it's like it kind of balances out. But in my crazy head, I'm still kind of like, oh, you didn't hit your eBay goal. But I just didn't have the time. I didn't have the time because I had to focus on prepping our space and prepping the marketing and prepping so many things before I could even remotely think about leaving. So that's what I have to always think about, is that with me having a retail store, I don't have something that's on autopilot. It's not like an eBay store where you can go on vacation and it still runs. It doesn't just turn off. I have to prepare for it to turn off, or I have to prepare for it to keep going, even if I have to turn off. So that's just the ins and outs kind of what I do with my store, what me and my wife do with our store. You know what I learned in the last month, and this is nothing new, but it helps to get these kind of reminders when unexpected challenges come into your life. And it shows me that, reselling really isn't just about going through the motions. It really isn't. You have to operate with intention and strategy at all times. Even though I didn't hit the goal that I set out for on eBay last month, I still did bring in almost $3,000 on a part-time basis reselling on eBay and running my full-time vintage store, BC Modern. Now, we exceeded our goal in the storefront. So to me, it was totally a win-win. Operating with intention last month still allowed me to succeed, okay? Here's why. I intentionally still listed on a part-time basis before this deal came along, which still allowed me to make almost $3,000 on a part-time basis. I intentionally planned how I was going to execute picking up the deal in Minnesota with very limited time to pick up and actually get it staged and put together in my store for my next event. Every day was planned out from the moment I decided to go get this deal, and everything was done with intention to make sure that I got the deal. It went smoothly, got back here in Milwaukee, got put on my floor, got cleaned, got priced, got sold. Always operating with intention is how I continuously hit gold. Thank you for joining in and listening in on the video. I'm still trying new stuff. I'm still trying to figure this whole YouTube thing out, and how to share, and what to document. So if you did enjoy this video, please give me the thumbs up. Share the video, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And if you do have any questions about what it is that I did in this video, drop them in the comments. If you have any questions about my eBay strategy, go check out some of the videos I put up there telling you my eBay strategy, how I'm gonna go from zero to $100,000 on a part-time basis while still growing a thriving vintage brick and mortar store in a world where everybody goes digital. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.